The fear of rejection is one of the most common fears in the world. Most people have this fear to some extent. If you're in sales, then you're selling some kind of product or service. But even if you don't have a sales job, you're probably selling something every day. You might be trying to get someone to agree to a plan. That's selling an idea. You might be trying to get a new job or a raise. That's selling yourself. You might be trying to sell your partner on where you want to go for your upcoming vacation. Everyone is selling all kinds of things every day. And the better you are at selling, the more successful and enjoyable your life will be. The fear of rejection is the main barrier that people have to successful selling. So really getting rid of the fear of rejection will probably improve your sales and everything else in your life more than anything else you could do. The app that you're checking out here is a major breakthrough that really works for getting rid of the fear of rejection. That's because someone has finally figured out exactly what causes this fear and also exactly how to get rid of it permanently. What if someone invented a new technology that was like running antivirus software on human beings? And what if that human antivirus software was able to help you get rid of the true cause of the fear of rejection completely? What if getting rid of your fear of rejection became as easy as dragging files to the recycle bin? Well, you're in luck. That's exactly what the Vaporize Your Fear of Rejection app teaches you how to do. You will be amazed at how fast and easy it is to really get rid of the true cause of the fear of rejection. Something pretty extreme happened that eventually led me to find a powerful, effective solution to this problem. You see, I had a very pressing need to figure out why people are not good at handling their emotions. That's because on December 7th, 1993, I got shot in the chest by a deranged stranger with a .44 caliber handgun. I miraculously lived through this assault, but I had a bunch of very intense emotional problems as a result. I didn't know then that it was called post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, but I had all the typical PTSD symptoms: nightmares, flashbacks, startle response, anxiety, depression, hypervigilance, sleep problems. The accepted dogma of the psychological community is that PTSD is not curable. You just have to learn how to live with it and do your best to cope with it. Well, I didn't buy that. It seemed to me that they must be missing something. So I became determined to find what's been missing. It took a few years of my own specialized research to figure it out, but I finally did. So what did I discover? It turned out to be simple. Here it is. When we're little, we all get emotionally overwhelmed many, many times. We hate this. Everybody hates this. And everyone decides to do their best to avoid getting emotionally overwhelmed if at all possible. We rapidly learn to suppress our emotional pain. And this happens over and over again. It also happens so early in our life that it's before we have even learned how to speak. It's a pre-verbal decision. We just do our best to not feel the pain. And this becomes such a deep habit, deep conditioning, that we get really good at doing this. We get so good at suppressing intense emotional experiences that it becomes our default way of dealing with emotions. And this all happens before we have even learned how to talk. So the decision to suppress our feelings doesn't have words associated with it. It's a feeling level decision. Then we grow up and learn how to speak. We start to relate to the world through words and language. So we forget that we made a decision to limit our natural capacity to feel things, especially when they are intense. This is a setup for being really lousy at resolving trauma and stress. This is the reason that most people are basically emotionally incompetent. This is the reason that people are not good at dealing with stress, trauma, and fears. This is why psychology thinks that PTSD is incurable. But it's not incurable. In fact, after I had this insight about the pre-verbal decision to resist feeling things fully, I decided to try some experiments of doing the exact opposite of what we are deeply conditioned to do. I decided to try getting closer to the sensation of the energy of the remaining trauma in my body. I said to myself, Tom, you must be crazy. But I decided to go for it anyway. Here's exactly what I did. I knew that all I had to do was to think about the incident, and I would still feel the terror that I felt when it originally happened. I did that, and sure enough, I could feel the sensation of the terror feeling in my chest. So I decided to focus on the strongest area of the sensation that was right in the middle of it. I did that, and it was intense, but even though it was intense, I stuck with it and fairly quickly realized that I could handle the intensity. In fact, it wasn't all that difficult. I quickly discovered that, strangely enough, if I just stayed focused on the strongest central part of the sensation, that it was possible to continue to feel it. And even more fascinating was, as I continued to feel right into the center of the strongest part of it, it gradually started to become less intense. It was getting a bit softer. Amazing. I was intrigued, so I decided to get my courage up and get even closer to the remaining feeling of the terror. When I did that, it made the feeling seem stronger. Of course, it hadn't become stronger. I was just closer to it, so it seemed stronger. So I hung in there and just continued to feel right into the center of the most intense part of the energy field of the sensation. To my astonishment and delight, it got softer again. Okay, now my confidence was building. I got closer to the remaining feeling again. That made it seem stronger, but I just kept getting closer and closer to whatever was left of it until it got so soft I couldn't find it anymore. I searched all around inside my body, but I couldn't find any remaining feeling of terror. So I decided to see if I could provoke the feeling by remembering the traumatic event. I thought about it, and the feeling of terror was completely gone. Wow, I must be onto something. But let's see if it lasts. I'll wait until tomorrow and see if it is still really gone. When I woke up the next morning, I thought about the getting shot incident again, and there was still no terror. Certainly, I could still remember the events, but I didn't feel that old familiar feeling of the terror. And I realized that I had slept through the night with no nightmares for the first time since getting shot. I decided that I would apply what I had discovered to every remaining feeling associated with the trauma of the whole experience, including getting shot, the fear that he would come into the house and shoot my wife and daughter too, the bumpy, painful ambulance ride to the hospital, 2 surgeries, the experiences of feeling like I was going to die while I was waking up from the anesthesia. I used my new discovery to fully resolve one traumatic experience after another until they were all gone. I couldn't find anything else to apply the technique to. The result was that all my PTSD symptoms disappeared completely. No more nightmares, no more flashbacks, no more startle response, no more anxiety, no more depression, no more hypervigilance. I had cured myself of PTSD. Unheard of. I started to share what I had learned with family and friends. I rapidly learned that the technique could be used to resolve all kinds of stressful situations. You didn't have to have severe trauma in order to benefit from this insight. So since then, I've been teaching people all over the world how to do this. I've been doing that now for over 20 years. And one of the things that I discovered that these techniques really work well for is completely eliminating the fear of rejection. And along the way, I also discovered several additional techniques for resolving stress. I've developed 8 different techniques. They are called the Pure Awareness techniques. That's because at the end of each technique, you arrive at the experience of your own awareness without anything occupying it. So the awareness is pure. Over the years, I've used different names for my work: human software engineering, emotional mastery training, and now I call it Inner Greatness Optimizing. And within Inner Greatness Optimizing, we now have this very cool app system that you can use to guide yourself through these amazing techniques at your own pace. I've also developed a number of special programs for helping people resolve specific problems such as reducing the stresses that cause anxiety, depression, nightmares, fibromyalgia, resentments, grief, heartbreak, and stress. This program is called Vaporize Your Fear of Rejection. You'll be blown away by how it really completely gets rid of the fear of rejection permanently. In this program, you will learn 3 different pure awareness techniques. You'll learn what is called the In technique, This is the one that I first discovered. It's the one for resolving trauma and emotional pain. You'll also learn the OUT technique. This one is for resolving stresses that are called reactive emotions. And you'll also learn the LOCATE technique. That's for helping you find the energy field of the emotion when it is well hidden due to your long-standing habit of emotional suppression. So you will guide yourself through the process of vaporizing the different energy patterns at the real basis of your fear of rejection. So that's the story about how to really get rid of your fear of rejection and how I discovered how to do that. Thousands of people have learned how to do this. You can learn how to get rid of your fear of rejection too. Click on the link on this page for the App Store for your mobile device and start to vaporize your fear of rejection right now.